Welcome back to the Bearded Console Gamer, and today I'll be filling you in on all the big news from yesterday's PlayStation 5 showcase. We'll be talking prices, release dates, pre-orders, PS Plus, continuing PS4 support, and of course we'll cover all the games that were dropped during last night's presentation. If you enjoy the video, please remember to like and subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, you can even buy me a coffee through the link in the banner and support the channel. Onto the news, video gaming fans rejoice because after months of waiting and begging for PlayStation prices, we finally have our answers. Yesterday, Sony announced during its showcase that the PS5 complete with disc drive will be priced at $499.99 in the US or £449.99 in the UK, while the digital edition will set you back $399.99 in the US and $359.99 where the Queen lives. In my opinion, Sony nailed these price points, and they're obviously willing to eat a huge loss in terms of production costs to make their consoles competitive. Introducing the digital edition $100 cheaper than the Series X was a masterful play, and the Friendly Corporation is going to be more than able to make back that money lost on the price differential by funneling customers through their digital storefront, where they can dictate the terms while also reducing the amount of troublesome second-hand game resellers. Sony were never going to try and get close to the price point of the Series S with their digital edition PS5 because why would they? There's no reason, as the two consoles do something completely differently. The PS5 digital edition has the exact same guts as the flagship PS5 minus the disc drive, while the Series S is built for value, and it delivers it in spades. But that wasn't the only pricing news that we found out last night. We also discovered that the base price for Sony's PS5 games moving forward is likely to be $70 in the US. You could argue that the price hike is a result of Sony attempting to recoup losses from the console sales, or that next-gen games are going to be simply more expensive to produce. Either way, the idea of asking fans to fork out $70 on average for a video game when countless people across the globe are going to be experiencing extreme economic hardship over the coming years leaves a very bad taste in the mouth. It could also be more economically viable in the long run to shill out for the more expensive disc drive toting PS5, buy the games physically, and then resell some titles when you're done with them. Over time, you'd recoup the cost and you wouldn't be held ransom by the PS5 digital storefront. It was also revealed last night that the consoles would not be launched simultaneously across the globe, and that instead, the staggered release would see the PS5 released on November 12th in the US, Japan, Canada, Mexico, Australia, South Korea, and New Zealand, while the rest of the world would have to wait a full week till November 19th to get their hands on the system. Sony also decided that it would be a good idea to announce via a post-show blog that pre-orders for the console would go live for some retailers mere hours after the presentation. The vague and surprising announcement resulted in widespread digital chaos as fans clamoured to get theirs as stock became available and then very quickly sold out. What this also showed us is that a single Jeff Keighley is worth 1,000 PlayStation PR workers, and that's because bizarrely, the news that the pre-orders were imminent and that Demon's Souls was in fact a console launch title came from the man himself, rather than being included in the actual presentation, which was, meant to answer all of our questions. Sony also announced that they will continue to support the PlayStation 4 in the coming years by providing the console with compatible versions of next-gen games, including Horizon Forbidden West and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. The move is completely at odds with PlayStation's messaging from earlier in the year. Back in May, PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan outright stated, "We have always said that we believe in generations. We believe that when you go to all the trouble of creating a next-gen console, that it should include features and benefits that the previous generation does not include, and that in our view, people should make games that make the most out of those features." In other words, Ryan was stating that games designed for the PS5 shouldn't be designed for the previous generation as well, as this would hold them back. The change in tone will come as welcome news to those who can't afford a new console right now or simply can't get hold of one right away, but it'll also upset fans who have adopted new systems from the start and were looking for a bleeding-edge gaming experience from the beginning of the new generation. But moving away from the mixed messaging, it will be hard to argue that Sony had anything less than a stellar showing during the PlayStation 5 showcase, which is sure to have stolen some of the hype away from the Xbox Series consoles, at least temporarily. The presentation kicked off with the reveal of the next mainline entry in the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy 16 is promising to return fans to the medieval setting and features many of the high fantasy tropes that they've come to know and love. Final Fantasy 16 is also a PlayStation exclusive. Now I've got some mixed feelings here. On one hand, what a freaking win for Sony to get the series back on board. But I can't help but feel sorry for the gamers who are on the other side of this deal and who won't get to indulge in the game they love. I'm hoping that when all's said and done, it'll end up as a timed exclusive and maybe Xbox will get it in a year or two, but we'll have to wait and see. We also got the official reveal of the Harry Potter game Hogwarts Legacy. This one has me crazy hyped. It looks like it captures the magic of the books nicely, and I don't necessarily agree with those saying that because the game isn't set with the core characters that it won't have a widespread appeal. The game's set way earlier, in the 1800s, and if you think Harry Potter fans won't want to carve out their own experience and explore locations they've grown to love from the literature while interacting with familiar characters like Nearly Headless Nick, then you're crazy. We also got a look at some Miles Morales gameplay, which continued to highlight the strengths of the series while showing off a seriously impressive set piece involving the collapse of a suspension bridge and the introduction of some new enemies, including the Energy Corporation Roxxon and a technologically advanced gang led by an individual known as the Tinkerer. Resident Evil Village also made an appearance along with a new Five Guys at Freddy's game, which was pretty out of left field. Sony also treated us to some silky smooth Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War gameplay and announced a free multiplayer alpha that'll be available to PlayStation gamers starting September 18th. We also got a gorgeous slice of Demon's Souls gameplay, but all the other announcements pale in comparison to PlayStation's closing gambit, the highly anticipated announcement of the next installment of the God of War series titled Ragnarok, which is set to release in 2021. But the way things are going, we'll have to see about that. Finally, Sony announced that PlayStation Plus subscribers will be getting access to a ton of Hall of Fame first-party PS4 games to enjoy with their shiny new PS5 or existing PS4. The expanded PS Plus library will include the 2018 God of War, The Last of Us Remastered, Batman Arkham Knight, Bloodborne, and tons of other titles. The library is going to add massive value to the gamers who will be jumping into the PlayStation ecosystem for the first time with the purchase of a new PS5, but it's important to note that this isn't intended to be a move on Xbox's Game Pass. In a new interview with GamesIndustry.biz, Jim Ryan stated that Sony simply isn't interested in the Game Pass model. And I quote, "We have had this conversation before. We are not going to go down the road of putting new release titles into a subscription model. These games cost many millions of dollars, well over $100 million to develop, so we just don't see that as sustainable." Of course, in the past, Sony also said that they weren't going to be supporting PS4, so we'll have to see how that goes too. By the way, I personally would have loved to have seen a reveal of the new PlayStation UI, but I can understand why that might have been left out, as it would slow down the flow of the showcase, and it might best be left to its own presentation. And that's all of the PlayStation news from Sony's PS5 showcase and the chaotic free-for-all that followed. Let me know what you thought about the announcements in the comments section, and if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, and if you're feeling flush, why not even buy me a coffee? Keep it here for more news, reviews, and roundups from around the gaming world.